presentation of outstanding invoices. I have the invoices, and I'd make a motion to approve them in the amount of $2,118,528.97.
Second.
Do we have a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Glatz?
Aye.
Mr. Lulo?
Aye.
Dr. Casey?
Aye.
Mr. Kozel?
Aye.
Mr. Lucetti? Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Molinari?
Aye. Personnel report, Dr. Tingley.
If I could refer you to the personnel report found on your places this evening, the resignations: Wes Cooley, head boys tennis, North High School, resigning this position effective immediately, and Nicholas Schroeder, custodian, Central High School, resigning this position effective March 18th, 2016. I ask that you accept these resignations as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Under retirements, Alvester Vaughn, print room supervisor, North High School, requesting retirement from the IMRF retirement system effective June 3rd. That should be 2016. And Sue Panozzo, print room supervisor, East High School, requesting to change her retirement date under the IMRF retirement system to June 6th, 2016. I ask that you accept these retirements as presented.
We have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Kozel?
Aye.
Mr. Lucetti? Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Glatz?
Aye.
Mr. Lulo?
Aye.
Mrs. Molinari?
Aye.
Under other business, Kyle Lang, paraprofessional, North High School, recommending full-time status as he has successfully completed his 90-day probation period. And Kyla Reddit, paraprofessional, Central High School, recommending full-time status as she has successfully completed her 90-day probation period. I ask that you accept these two as presented.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second. Second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Lulo?
Aye.
Dr. Casey?
Aye.
Mr. Kozel?
Aye.
Mr. Lucetti?
Aye.
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Glatz?
Aye.
Mrs. Molinari?
Aye. Treasurer's report.
Mr. Salmon is not with us this evening, so if I can refer you to the Treasurer's report found in your backup material. On the first page of the traditional report, you may have noticed that we debited $4 million in O&M, credited in the ed $4 million. It hadn't made it over to the Treasurer's report. That was something that the board had authorized in September under the recommendation of the auditors to balance out those funds to take them out of the negatives. You'll also notice the liabilities on the right-hand side now. $21 million in the ed, $3 million in the O&M, and then $1 million in the transportation. We have now drawn $25 million in our tax anticipation warrants. In terms of income, we did receive some categorical funds from the state in some of our state aid. So we're about halfway of what we should receive for the year. We're right on budget. We'll see what happens in Springfield, the remainder. In terms of the expanded Treasurer's report, just our expenditures from here on out should be pretty consistent with last year. But when you look at the 4-year trend, obviously, we'll be spending a little bit more than those 4-year averages. In our April meeting, Mr. Langer will go over the first 3 quarters of our expenditures and kind of do a projection as we close out the year. So Mr. Langer will be prepared to do that as we enter April and the final quarter. If there are no questions, this would conclude our Treasurer's report.
We have a motion to approve the Treasurer's report for February 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Glatz?
Aye.
Mr. Lulo?
Aye.
Dr. Casey? Aye. Mr. Kozel?
Aye.
Mr. Lucetti?
Aye.
Mrs. Molinari?
Aye.
If I can refer you once again to your backup materials, we have closed out the fall season and the accounts are in pretty good shape. The winter season is just concluding. Our athletic directors and principals are going through those accounts now to make sure that they're zeroed out or some remaining fund balance. Obviously, we're entering the spring season now. We'll have fundraising taking place and then expenditures. Once again, as we discussed at the last meeting, some of the negative accounts you see, our junior class, as they've paid the deposit for prom, will start selling prom tickets in May, and that will zero out those negative numbers. The receipts for February were a little bit bigger than were a little higher than the expenditures. We anticipate that leveling out as more resources are obtained as we move into the spring season. If there are no questions, I can close the student activity report for the month of February.
Can I have a motion to approve the student activities report for February 2016?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please, Sue.
Mr. Kozel?
Aye.
Mr. Lucetti?
Aye.
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Glatz?
Aye.
Mr. Lulo?
Aye.
Dr. Casey? Aye. Mrs. Molinari?
Aye. IHSA renewal.
IHSA renewal is something we have to do annually. Obviously, it must be done on or before June 15th. So at this time, I'm asking the board to approve the renewal for our continued participation in the IHSA for the Central High School, the East High School, and the West High School, effective for the 2016-2017 school year.
I have a motion to approve the IHSA membership renewal.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Approval of the District 210 Advisory Committee's recommendation to replace class rank with Latin honors and eliminate the recognition of valedictorian and salutatorian.
Dr. Cohen, a quick synopsis for us, please.
Absolutely. Nowhere in our handbook or in policy has the tradition of honoring a valedictorian and salutatorian been put in place, even since the 1960s forward. With the transition to recognizing students in the Greek honor system, the District Superintendent Advisory Committee has approved language for the handbook that spells out how the academic honors will be recognized, both for the summa, magna cum laude, and cum laude statuses, based on weighted and unweighted GPAs. So that's before you today for your approval.
Can I have a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. I've struggled with this one. I know I've spoken to some of you, but I've struggled with letting go of the honoring. I mean, we just honored our valedictorians and salutatorians this evening. It's amazing. I just want, are we going to continue to recognize our high achievers, our summa cum laudes? I realize that almost none of the schools, Mr. Riley, correct me if I'm wrong, but colleges are requiring grade point average anymore. I mean, we're actually behind the 8 ball in this, but I think if we're going to honor outstanding achievement, be it athletics or anything else, we still need to do what we do best, and that's educating our kids and recognizing our top academic achievers. So do we have any plans to do something in that regard?
Yeah, we've certainly talked about it all the way through, that from the beginning of this process, that we're not going to let us step back at all in terms of honoring students. This just gives us a chance to honor more. Any student with the rigors of this district that has a 5-point grade point average should receive the highest honor we can offer to them. So that could be 10 to 15 students in a building. It could be 30 kids in a building some years. Whatever that standard seems to be, and it's 5.0. 5.0 on our scale is remarkable. And so again, and this is really where the colleges have come from, to limit that to 2 kids. Sometimes that 3rd, 4th, 5th kid, it's 1/100 of a point, and to just leave them out. There's no lose for us in this. There's really only one of the military academies that has asked about Val and Sal, and in that case, we can pull it up. We'll have the number if they need to have it for some reason, but every other college just wants to know grade point average and not really class rank, because class rank, very misleading. In a school like this, students who are in the middle of the pack may have a 25 or 26 ACT. That's not a middle of the pack student in most places.
Thank you.
Tim, I just wanted to clarify, colleges are still looking at GPAs, it's class rank that they don't really look at.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to correct you. But, I mean, and part of what this is targeted at, and you mentioned that, is we could have a student with a 3.5 GPA that's near the bottom half of the class. Right now, because of the rigor of our programs, and this is trying to be more reflective on them. What we're doing is we're losing that top distinction, but it's trying to provide additional distinction for the other students.
We have some fine students that have gotten rejection letters because they've been in the bottom half of the class with a 3.5, 3.6, and a 24 ACT, and that's just a shame. And so really it's the ranking of students that causes us the problem.
Yeah, and more schools are now, universities are getting away from trying to report the percent that are in the top half, because that can be specious depending on the school.
And thank you for that. I do appreciate that, and it is important. And I also want to thank the District 210 Advisory Committee, because that recommendation is coming from our citizens, from faculty, and from students as well. So I take that all into consideration, so thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion on the table with a second. We've had discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
If I could refer you once again to your backup materials, we had travel for the Lincoln Way Central and West Orchestra, Guitar Studio, Central Band. This will be Stacy Williams-Jackson and Nate Jackson, Chris Mrazek, from March 25th through the 29th of 2017. This will take place over spring break. There will be no school missed. Cost of the student will be $1,500, which they will begin to work on fundraising. We'll give them the opportunity to a concert tour of Los Angeles, including master classes at the University of Southern California and performances at Disneyland Anaheim. They'll also visit sound studios at Sony, tour Hollywood, and visit the Santa Monica Pier. So I think a pretty good trip, great opportunities for exposure for our students. I would recommend that the board approve this based upon the administration getting all the appropriate materials.
Motion to approve the out-of-state travel as presented.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Informational items. Report of the Lincoln Way Area Special Ed 843 Governing Board. Mr. Roswell.
Yes, I attended that meeting. It was pretty much business as usual. There were two significant features that happened at that meeting. One was the student information system. Much like Lincoln Way went to Skyward, they chose to go with Tyler. It's a similar technology system that they'll incorporate throughout the district. The other thing was bus leases. For the last 7 years, they no longer own their buses. They lease them much like Lincoln Way. Found that it's a lot more economical. So we approved leasing for, I think, 4 buses for the next 5 years. That concludes my report.
Thank you. FOIA requests.
Once again, the FOIA requests are found in your backup materials.
Thank you. Asset of the month.
Asset of the month for April. Sense of purpose. Young person reports that my life has a purpose at home. Listen to your kids when they talk about their dreams. Ask how you can help and get excited. At school, help students to see a purpose in everything they're learning in school. In the community, involve youth and volunteer activities. Recognize their skills and accomplishments. And I forgot the plaque, Mr. Riley, but just this morning we were recognized by the County Forest Preserve for the participation and the volunteering of all of our students to work on every single day, Opportunity Volunteer Day. Our students signed up. They were out there cleaning, pulling weeds, you name it. And so they appreciate the effort of our students, and they recognized Tim as a group of our asset team this morning at a breakfast. So we're proud of that recognition.
Awesome. Thank you. Goal number 1, objective D.
At your places, you have a handout that outlines Goal 1D, but this was really the challenge. And as teachers and leaders here, we appreciated this challenge from the board last year. We've done a phenomenal job for 15 years of really moving the middle around here, taking the average student and getting them college ready. And I think what you gave us the charge to do last year is to look a little harder at the edge kids. Our top kids, what we provide for the gifted, the honors kids, and our most struggling students. And really, I think our teachers have been extremely successful with all 3 of these. The first part of the goal was to get more students involved in AP classes, taking more AP tests. earning more college credit in high school. And I want to show you some numbers, and remember, this is just middle of March, so we have another 6 weeks that kids can still sign up. Last year in the district, we had 1,297 students who took AP tests. So far, right now, we're almost to 2,000. As of today, that 1923 went up to about 1990. They just called me after school. So we're well over 50% increase with a month and a half to go. Number of tests that our student takes, because many kids take 2 or 3 or 4 tests, 2286 last year. It's already well over 3,500 by this afternoon, so that's a 50% increase. I think we're going to be up in the 60 and 70%. There was a charge that you gave us. We turned it over to the buildings and especially the principals and associate principals, and they just ran with it. And 3 reasons really why that happened. The teachers got behind it. They encouraged the preparation. We've lost some of the opportunities with Joliet Junior College for dual credit. So really the only way a kid in AP Psychology can earn credit now is through this test. So the kids have jumped on, they believe in it. We created an online registration that we send emails home a lot faster, and Skyward's been tremendous. Every student in an AP class gets a few reminder emails to the parents. So the whole thing has worked together just the way we had hoped. It's a great goal. You have these in front of you, but I just want to highlight a few classes. There's East, again, great numbers, great increase. The biggest jumps at East are in AP Government from 142 students to 234. That's not an issue on dual credit. That really is the teachers pushing that. In the AP Psychology, the giant jumps you'll see at each building, those numbers are reflective of Joliet Junior College. We could give dual credit. We can't anymore, so now the kids are saying, I'll get my credit the other way. I'll get the test. North's had a great year. Again, everything's gone up on the students and the tests. U.S. History had a huge jump over at North, and U.S. History never had dual credit. That's just the teachers pushing it a little more, kids buying in. Big AP Psych jump at West. Great numbers up at the top. The Gov again, more than doubled, and the AP Psychology 6 times up. And finally at Central, huge numbers at the top. The Gov again, almost doubled. And the Psychology went from 21 to 168 kids. So this is one of the primary factors that gets schools on that U.S. News and World Report and the Newsweek national recognition. How many AP tests the kids take? How do they do on those tests? We have every confidence they're going to nail the test. They just didn't need to take it in the past. But without the dual credit, it's a big piece of what we do. So that first part of the goal, I think kids have done a beautiful job.
Tim, question. When will we find out the percentage scored 3 or above, which is what they typically need to get the
middle
college
to end of June.
Okay.
Yeah, so they take them the first 2 weeks in May. It's about a month or so
So
turnaround.
we've always been around 70% or so. Yeah.
And in most of the content areas, we had 3 weaker areas last year, and we've targeted those, and we'll give you that report in June. So thank you. Yep. The second part of the goal is to reach the other end of the students, to really go for our special needs students, make sure that they have what they need. Mary Harrison really, I think it's been her lifelong dream to have a true transition program for special needs students 18 to 22 years old. They're not in the regular school population. We started that LIFE program last year. It started with 29 students, 25 of them had paid jobs outside. So it really is it's not a schooling, it's a school to life transition program. Done a beautiful job. This year, from 29 up to 45 students, 41 of them have paid job experiences out in the community. University of St. Francis, Lewis, JJC, they have partnerships where they can take classes, they work at the universities, and the school business training is fantastic. It's not just menial jobs. Really, how does business work? How do you keep a budget? Done some absolutely amazing things. Next year we're going to be well over 50 students. So again, it was a great one for you to encourage and sponsor. I know it was close to Dr. Tingley's heart when he came in. Since we mentioned special games, and I really appreciated Mrs. Schiller's comments at the beginning about her daughter Morgan. Morgan was one of probably 600 or 700 students in there screaming and having an absolute ball. There's 2 big awards. One is the Spirit Stick, and that was won by North. Those kids were so excited. And then each of the schools creates their own theme and their own design, these giant banners. So they had a Harry Potter theme at Central. East did an 80s theme, Back to the Future. West was West Coast, so they had the beach theme. And North was the North School musical, and the sign lit up. I mean, it was just absolutely fabulous. I almost get choked up talking about it. It is just one of those days, if you've never been there, it's us at our best, I think. And so, the final part of the goal was to address our other at-risk kids who are students on the dropout list. Really, they're barely hanging on. How are they going to get through high school? We have two guys in there who have a coaching mindset and a young lady who is probably more coachy than both of them put together. They take nothing from the kids. These are kids that struggle in school. They're non-traditional learners. So you have Brian Flaherty over there on the right side, and I've heard him literally say this. Well, you mean you aren't going to finish that online class? You will graduate. And they just have this. And so it's tough love. It's kids that they drag them through. And what we found is because of that, our graduation rates, which were already pretty good, have been remarkable. So districts that have 92, 93%, that's where we used to be. We stayed there for years. We jumped to 94. We're up at 96. We could be at 97, 98% this year. That's unheard of, but that's chasing down those fringe kids and making it happen for them. So last year, 36 at-risk students graduated. This year, they already have 27. They're anticipating 45 by the end of the year. So already 63, we could be between 80 and 90 by the end of the year. And every one of those students was on a track to not graduate from high school. So again, I think when we think about that board goal, reaching kids on both ends, can't say enough about our teachers and our students and their buy-in.
Thank you, Chip.